and subsequently even your Vikritis. So that's the ultimate cause as you move away, as you a sublime being select your parents for your next life, as you prepare again your manifestation. The very selection of the parents will be so perfectly coordinated to give the best possible expression to your truest nature, as according to the template of previous impressions from past lives. And that then the mother and the father are also rays of this amazing sun, which come to meet in a most intimate manner, such as to enliven that fundamental field of life so that a new impulse arises. And there are four influences happening at this point. The father's nature is 25% of the influence. Sorry, gentlemen, to disappoint you all. 25% of your children is your influence. But before, ladies, you get overly excited, 25% of the nature of the child will be due to your influence. But this is where ladies win out, as usual. 25% of your child's nature is due to the environment of the conception, which is, of course, the health of the mother, which is why so important in Ayurveda. Family planning starts a year before you actually conceive, so that you get mother and father at their best for this conception, especially the mother. That's 75% taken care of. So where does the last 25% come from? The influence that determines the nature of the child, 25%, comes with that impulse from that field of being. And then that 25% is what makes everybody unique. Even identical twins will be unique. And it's these four influences operating as an expression of the sanskaras or impressions of your own karma that allow you to manifest in your perfection. So I hope that.
And is that determining your doshic makeup though as well? Is it determining?
Oh, absolutely, Noel. Absolutely. And to some extent, Noel, I mean, some people may well be conceived already out of balance because of their past previous.
Yeah, I'd say everybody is conceived out of, not conceived, but certainly born out of balance, but because babies, you can pick up so much stress in the womb. We know that. I mean, yeah, absolutely. You're influenced by the environment that the mother is in, the air she's breathing, the food she's eating, the stresses she's dealing with, the financial, how good her relationship is. All those things are affecting the health of the baby, But is the doshic makeup Vata Pitta Kapha, is that at the point of conception?
Yep.
It must be.
The Prakriti, yep,
at
absolutely.
The point of conception. Okay. And that would be based on your karma and everything. Yeah.
Quality of the ovum and quality of the sperm will determine a lot. And as Dr. Manning said, died and environment.
The time of conception.
Sorry?
The time of conception as well. Like, where are you conceiving that child? Like, in which country, in which time, in which season? So everything plays a role in determining the prakriti of the offspring.
Okay. I can understand everything playing a role in the health, in the health of the baby, but in the prakriti of the baby, because no prakriti is unhealthy as such, So they're all healthy. So is it still your karma that's determining? Okay, your karma can be determining whether the baby is healthy or unhealthy or diseases and all these things. But is it still your karma that's determining the prakriti? Because no one prakriti is better than any other.
Absolutely, Noel, because this is the extraordinary, inconceivable thing, that field at the basis of life is a field of such infinite correlation that the time, the place, the parents, everything comes together to give expression to the karma as this unique prakriti.
Okay.
And perhaps also some prakriti along with it.
Okay.
So that's why there's a whole kind of preparation before conception. Ayurveda has a wonderful branch to prepare the mother and the father to improve the quality. And
no, you're missing the point though. I can understand.
No, we got it. No,
I can understand that, but what prakriti you have, one prakriti is not healthier than another one.
No. That's not. No. That depends on your what is dominancy of your parents' prakriti. If they're both vata, definitely the child is going to have some vata for sure.
Oh, okay. Well, that's new.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because if they both have pitta kapha, one is vata kapha, let's say, and the other is pitta kapha, the child definitely going to have kapha, but maybe doesn't know it's going to have vata or pitta.
Okay.
So that comes there as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the parents' prakriti as well that comes into the child.
That's lovely. And then there's also the reality that when that child is born to those parents from many previous lifetime owe that child so much that they in this life must give that child life and must for 21 years be total slaves to the child. And so it's not the first time round.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Nothing new under the sun, I think is the oldest saying in the world, and there is nothing new under the sun. We better get started here. We're running out. We're having a lovely discussion about this, but
Isabel said it's 28 years. She's looking after probably the child for 28 years.
Yeah, well, so my mother's looking after me for the last 60 years, you know, it doesn't end. It keeps going. It keeps going. So okay, let's get started.
As somebody said, you know, for ladies particularly, once they have a child, for the rest of their lives, the lady's life, their heart is running around outside them.
All right, yeah. Okay, good. Okay, let's get going. Kapha, we're discussing Kapha this week, so we'll start off with our Kapha lecture. So maybe if you can just let me know that everything is coming up. Here we go. So if people want to turn off their well, we don't have that many on, so maybe you can leave your cameras on. We'll just see how the quality is.
And good evening, everybody. By way of introduction, let me just give the full overview of the field of Ayurveda. It's a vast and wonderful knowledge that is always worth a recap and reminding ourselves just how deep, how profound, how holistic this great perspective and what wisdom it can give us in terms of our own well-being and in terms of us taking care of our family and friends. So when we think about medicine, we see a field of knowledge that is reductionist, which means it divides everything down into its components parts and then divides those into their components parts, and it goes on. And the idea behind it is that when you understand all the parts, you have it all sussed. And unfortunately, that has become a bit of a cul-de-sac for medicine because there's increasing incidence of many chronic diseases, heart disease, asthma, allergies, diabetes, obesity, ADHD, dementia, just increasing dramatically the incidence of these over the last 5 decades, and medicine hasn't made any progress with these chronic illnesses. Unfortunately, the medicines that have emerged are at most symptomatic for these sort of conditions. And that is because of a failure of medicine to look at the whole. Now, for example, if you take the medical approach to nutrition, you will find that it's divided into vitamins and minerals and calories and you know, all this advice to take so much of a vitamin and so much of a mineral is based on the fact that that will have an effect in the body. But it's incomprehensible, the effects that these vitamins, minerals, proteins, fats have in our diet. For example, when you take food, you take thousands, tens of thousands of ingredients. They're met by tens of thousands of chemicals in our gut in the process of digestion. They're absorbed and meet innumerable possible processes in the body. And you cannot know what any one chemical is going to do because each chemical and its interactions affect all the other chemicals, and the body functions as a whole, and the body is an ecosystem. And this ecosystem of the body has to survive in a huge ecosystem of our environment. And that's why it's so wonderful to have a science like Ayurveda, which deals not just with the reductionist perspective on the parts, but it has the perspective of the whole. And then what is the whole? Well, the whole universe, according to physics, is derived not merely from the material, but the material ultimately is energy. And there are fundamental fields of energy, according to the most advanced of our science, physics, which has sort of been more foremost in understanding more fundamental levels of our existence. The energies are understood ultimately to be arising from fundamental fields, and there are basically three, if you like, three aspects of very fine particles in field. There's bosons, fermions, and the gauge symmetry at the basis of quantum physics. And beyond that, there are 5 spin particles. And then beyond that, we come to one glorified, unified field. In other words, according to physics, there's one fundamental source of everything in the universe. And that includes you. That fundamental source gives rise to all of our physiologies, as well as the solar system and the galaxies. One fundamental source, which Ayurveda, thousands of years ago, described with incredible clarity in terms of 5, not spin particles, fundamental elements, they were called. Space, air, fire, water, and earth. 5 fundamental dynamics, particles, which we could equate because they're so similar to the quantum physics concept with the 5 spin particles. In the same sense, those 5 elements in Ayurveda gives rise to 3 fundamental dynamics. Ayurveda calls it Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And a quantum field theorist has done the thesis and said this descriptions from Ayurveda and quantum physics are so alike that it could not possibly have happened by chance. Basically, he does a probability analysis on it. So the reality is that Ayurveda is describing what physics is now coming to describe, except physics has dealt only with the objective world out there. And physics and the sciences fail to understand the one who's observing all of this. What is consciousness? There's no clear explanation within the modern sciences. However, there is a possibility for you, since you are ultimately that field, to allow the mind to quieten. And this is what the great scientists in ancient times were able to do, to observe the stilling, quietening, settling. And when the activity settles and the mind has quietened, the consciousness reaches a point where it transcends and is that wholeness, is that unbounded, absolute, eternal, immortal being outside the realm of space and time, and you just are. That serene and blessed mood in which the affections gently lead us on until the breath of this corporeal frame and even the motion of our human blood, we rest suspended and become a sleeping body and become a living soul. While with the eye of insight made lively, we see into the life of things. This is Wordsworth in Tintern Abbey. People with clear perspective experience this. The ancient scientists of Ayurveda described it so perfectly we can use it for our help, because that source is giving rise to the whole universe. It's giving rise to your physiology. All the dynamics, all the organizing principles, all the laws of nature that structure the universe are within you, structuring your physiology. And that's why you're using me, you're using Noah, you're using Rajvinder, Nahid, to remind you, to help you to recognize what you know you should be doing. That's our purpose here with Ayurveda. So to share my screen with you, This is what I'm talking about. At the basis is consciousness, and then we have our 5 senses. And through the senses, we experience everything that we experience in life. If you couldn't hear, see, smell, taste, and touch, you're dead. It's because of these senses you experience your thoughts, your emotions, you feel your emotions, you have your insights. And in the same way, then, when you project your awareness outwards, you see the universe around you. So the senses are fundamental, and they give rise to 5 fundamental dynamics within us. These interact, space and air, to become a dynamics called Vata. Fire element with a little bit of water become Pitta, and then there's a dynamics of Kapha. So Vata, Pitta, and Kapha are 3 fundamental processes that you use when you wish to create and construct and govern and become your body. This is how you do it. That field of consciousness starts to move, giving rise to a dynamics of movement, which is called Vata. That field of consciousness next has to transform, and transforms into your feelings and into your thoughts and your thought structure. That process of transformation is Pitta. And then there's an integrating influence that holds it all together as physical structure, and that's Kapha. And these are associated with a set of qualities. Vata's light, quick, moving, dry, cold, rough, irregular qualities, whereas Pitta, more hot, sharp, light fluids, slightly oily, and Kapha is heavy, slow, stable, cold, oily, soft. And according to your nature, in terms of these 3, you could be more Vata or more Pitta or more Kapha or have a combination. Then according to that nature, you will express more of these qualities. Like the lady on the top left, she's more light, quick, moving, dry, cold, rough. She'll be more sensitive, refined, artistic, more quick moving, quick ticking, quick, very feeling the cold, with perhaps a tendency to dry hair or rough skin. So these qualities would be seen more in that sort of an individual, whereas the man down in the left bottom corner, he's more Pitta, hot, with a very sharp mind, sharp gaze, sharp appetite. He's light, but not as light as Vata. And because he's feeling so hot, he loves the cold. He's out there skiing. And whereas the Kapha person, more heavy, slow, stable, so grounded, practical, easygoing. Manyan is the attitude to life. And so each of us have our own qualities, and each of us therefore have different needs in terms of the qualities that bring us balance, the qualities in food, in lifestyle, in diet. And that's the interesting thing about Ayurveda, because when we focus on the balance, when we get Vata and Pitta and Kapha balanced, we are at our best. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, we are awake, alive, and joyful. And that is our purpose. When Vata is balanced, the old texts from whom we take so much wisdom of Ayurveda, the old texts describe Vata in its normal state reflects enthusiasm, inspiration and expiration. It's what we take in as well as what we give out, is all moved by Vata. Movements generally by Vata, normal metabolic transformation of tissues, proper elimination of excreta. This is a balanced Vata. Pitta, balanced, gives good vision, good digestion, normal temperature, normal hunger and thirst, softness in the body, luster, happiness, and intelligence. Kapha in the body, when it's normal, it gives good structure, good unctuousness or lubrication, binding, firmness, steadiness. It gives heaviness, it gives potency and virility, it gives strength, forbearance, restraint, patience, absence of greed. So tonight we're really focusing a little bit more on the balancing of Kapha, and who of all of you does not want your Kapha balanced, to have that strength and forbearance and patience and restraint. So these all have their influence at particular times as well. And Kapha seems to be at the start of everything. The first hour after a meal, start of digestion, you feel a bit sluggish and slow down and heavy, and that's kapha influence, that time. In the same way, the start of the day and the start of the night, from 6 until 10 in the morning, a little bit dull, heavy, this is kapha time. In the evening, you're quietening down, getting more settled again. That's kapha time again, from 6 until 10 at night. The start of the month for a lady during her menstrual phase of life, the start of the month when the womb is growing, and that's the first half of the monthly cycle is kapha, the start of the year, and this is where we're interested today. The start of the year from December to May is kapha time of the year. We want to know how to keep that balance. What are the qualities to integrate now to keep at our best? And at the start of life, for the first 21 years, that's a kapha time of life. Ultimately, we take everything on board, all our experiences, all our sight senses, all that we take in through the senses, all that we take in through the air we breathe, through the food we eat, and all, if we are balanced, are transformed in the body to create ultimately a finest essence of all the body tissues called ojas, which when we are so healthy is to create this in an ongoing fashion. We have no worries about coronavirus. Corona will get its comeuppance if it comes near us, because ojas maintains natural resistance and immunity. It's located in the heart and circulates. It fights aging, decay, and disease. It gives strength, power, and natural resistance. It's a superfine biological substance. It's actually a substance in the body that is a finest essence of all we've transformed. And it's going to depend on our lifestyle, on our stress, on trauma, and the quality of relationships. And that's why Ayurveda takes a very holistic perspective on all the different potentialities in our lives, whereby we can create health and get on with enjoying ourselves. And I'll hand you back to Noel, who is full of ojas.
Okay, Dr. Brennan, that's fantastic, because it gave a great overview of actually the three doshas there. So it was a very good, because, you know, as Dr. Brennan said, consciousness manifests itself into 5 basic elements, and they are earth, air, fire, water, space. So everything in the manifest universe is created of these things. There's nothing that's not made from earth, air, fire, water, and space. In the manifest, not the unmanifest universe, but in the manifest universe. And they go together in different qualities in different people, and they form Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So that was a brilliant overview. I really like the slides and the pictures of the people. You could see just by looking at them the difference between them, and then we know by looking at the people around us, we can see Vata people, we can see Pitta people, and we can see Kapha people. So we know now from that as you say, Kapha is the start of everything, and it's certainly for the start of the year, and this is the start of the year. So we're going to hand over to Dr. Naheed. I'll just unmute Dr. Naheed, and so Dr. Naheed, if you just say something.
Yes, hi.
Okay, so you're unmuted. Okay, Dr. Naheed, so you go ahead and make your presentation on Kapha.
Thank you, Noel. And Dr. Brennan just has given an idea of all the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Especially, he has gave a great emphasis on Kapha, its general function, like what time of the day and everything. And that was fantastic. So thank you, Dr. Brennan, as well. So this Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, each of them has the 5 different subtypes. So today I am going to talk about the subtype of Kapha, as we are in the Kapha season of the year. And based on the function, so this subtypes, how they have categorized these subtypes of doshas. So based on the function of a group of any doshas, it may be Pitta, Vata, and Kapha, they are subcategorized in 5 different categories. So I presume that these terms will be very new for many of you. So for that, I'm going to share my screen so that it will be easy to understand. And just give me 2 seconds.
We don't hear you. Is Noel still there? No.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened there. Can you hear me? Yeah, sorry, Dr. Nahi, just hang on a second.
She's muted.
Muted me, I think.
No, I don't know how that happened. I didn't do it anyway, but you got muted somehow, you know. So yeah, we just, when you shared your screen and the different 5 different subdoses of Kapha came up. So if you want to go back and start from there, Dr. Naheed.
Okay, no problem. So I just share my screen now. So the first subtype of Kapha dosha is Avalamba. So as I told previously as well, that these terminologies and these subcategories are based on the function they are doing inside the body. So Avalamba means to hold and to support, and they are located mainly in the upper part of the body, in the chest part and in between the shoulder bones. As you know that Kapha is the water element, and that present in our body in a fluid form. So I can correlate in the medical point of view that whatever the fluid is present inside the lungs, that's the pleural fluid and the pericardial fluids that can be correlated with Avalamba cough. They help to maintain the strength and the stability inside the body. And the second one is kledak. So kledak means to wet, to moisten, and they are present mostly inside our stomach. So what they do is, in the first hour of digestion, they help to moisten our food, they help to liquefy our food, and they also serves as a protecting layer to our stomach, so that it can protect us from the acidic all kinds of acid which secretes in our stomach to digest the food. So if someone is suffering with ulcer or the peptic and the duodenal ulcer, so it's not only pitta which is causing this problem, it can be the problem with your kledak cough as well. And the third one is bodhak. So bodhak means to perceive. So it's present in the tongue, and it helps in the taste perception, and it helps to maintain the proper amount of saliva secretion. So if someone is suffering with excessive salivation, or they are not able to perceive the taste, so there is some problem with their bodhak cough, especially with this coronavirus thing. The people are not getting any taste, they are like not able to taste food or anything. So there can be a problem with the bodhak cough on those patients. And the fourth one is tarpak. So tarpak means to nourish. So it is present inside our head. It helps to nourish all the sense organs, so all the emotional behavior, all the peace, and to learn. Everything is done by this tarpak kapha. So if someone is feeling dull, and if someone is feeling not feeling fine, they are feeling depressed, so there can be a problem with their tarpak kapha. And the last one is sleshak. So sleshak means to lubricate. So they are present inside our joints in the form of synovial fluid. So they help in the proper articulation of our joints, to keep it tight, firm, strong, and proper movement of our joints. So this is all I have to share. The next thing which I want to discuss is about the Kapha disorder. So how we will know that when is the time to balance our Kapha, what symptoms or the signs we experience in our body, and what health conditions. So Ayurvedic text has elaborated 20 specific type of Kapha disorder. And I'll just tell you the name of the few common one which we suffer in our day-to-day life. And that can be like, if you're feeling too heavy, or if you're feeling lazy, or if you're feeling drowsy, or excessive cold sensation, or maybe you're feeling excessive of sleep. And these are the Kapha disorder situation. If you're suffering with indigestion and a medical condition called anorexia nervosa, that is also a Kapha disorder. And the taste perception, if you're not able to perceive taste properly, if you're having excessive salivation, so these are also kapha disorder. And atherosclerosis, where there is a cholesterol get deposited clog inside the vessels, this is also a kapha disorder. If you're someone has a kind of palpitation, they frequently experience this palpitation kind of sensation when they can hear their heartbeat, this is also a kapha kind of disorder. There are some respiratory issues, like you are having cough with a lot of expectoration, it means your kapha is imbalanced. And is Noel sharing his screen?
No, I'm not.
It's happened more.
Sorry?
Scheduling made easy. I don't know what that is. Now we're back to normal.
Someone else shared a screen. I don't know what that was. Sorry, Dr. Naheed.
And if you're facing a mucus in your throat, that can be seen in conditions like post-nasal drip. So these are kapha situations. So when you're experiencing all these situations, all these problems, health conditions, then you can opt to balance your kapha, which Dr. Rajvinder will later give an idea how you can do that with the diet, lifestyle, and with herbs as well. And there are some skin condition like urticarial rash and the pale skin. So the next time when you find yourself that you are pale, that's not always because you're anemic. That can be a disorder of kapha as well. And the most important problem which we face very commonly in Ireland in this season is hay fever. So hay fever is nothing but the allergic rhinitis, in which any antigens or maybe any causative factor which are making you more sensitive, and you are having symptoms like runny nose, cough, cold, fever, and itchy eyes, conjunctivitis kind of thing, then you are like dealing with hay fever kind of condition. So you need to strengthen your immunity. When the kapha season is going to start, just prepare yourself so that even if you're catching some infection, you can fight with that really easily. And now Dr. Rajvinder can give you an idea how you are going to do that with diet, lifestyle, and so many things. So thank you. This is all from my end.
Thanks very much, Dr. Naheed. So for a lot of the people, even the people who've done our Ayurveda course, there's a lot of new information there, because in the initial course we went into Vata Pitta Kapha, but we never went into the subtypes of Vata Pitta Kapha. So that's your first look at those. So maybe people thought that they knew all they needed to know about Vata Pitta Kapha, but actually there's an awful lot more to learn about them, because they have subdoshas, and those subdoshas are located in different parts of the body, and when they go out of balance, they give rise to particular diseases and disorders. And for the new people here, some of this might seem very abstract. We talked about consciousness, and consciousness manifesting itself into the 5 elements, and then the 5 elements being described in terms of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. But just to be clear, Ayurveda is both abstract and very practical. All diseases are associated with an imbalance of Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. Dis-ease is dis-ease. The system is no longer at ease with itself. Something has gone out of balance. And as I say, all diseases are associated with these imbalances of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And Jean-Pierre said in the text there I saw, he said, it seems that a lot of the COVID thing is associated with Kapha, and most definitely there's associated with Kapha. There are big problems for people with obesity, with diabetes, and with and asthmatic people as well, because this tends to attack the lungs, But, we're talking about Kapha here this evening, but we should remember that all diseases are associated with Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And now we're in this Kapha season. So if you are prone to Kapha imbalances, this is a time that you need to be a little bit careful and do things that maybe can help balance that Kapha. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand over to Dr. Rajvinder. So Dr. Rajvinder, I'm just going to unmute you. And if you just want to say hello, Dr. Rajvinder.
Yes, hello.
Okay, so Dr. Rajvinder, as I already said, she lives in Dublin. She's been in Ireland since 2007. She's an Ayurvedic doctor. She's incredibly experienced. She has thousands of patients at this stage that come to see her. So Dr. Rajvinder, I'll hand over to you, and you can give your presentation in relation to Kapha.
Thank you, Noel. Thank you, Dr. Don, and thank you, Dr. Naheed. So wonderful contribution to Kapha. Kapha is a lovely dosha. First of all, that's what I would like to say. When I talk to Kapha people, they say, I don't like myself Kapha. No, Kapha is a very positive, lovely dosha. Kapha people are very kind, very compassionate, very gentle, wonderful, loyal friends. So sometimes kapha go a little bit out of balance. So that's what Ayurveda is here to help, how to keep kapha in balance and how to keep weight, all of these diseases Dr. Naheed was talking about. It's very easy to bring it back into balance. So I'm going to share my screen.
I'm just going to allow sharing screen again because I just switched it off. So you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay, can you see it?
Yeah.
Do I need to go into the slide mode maybe?
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah. Second, I'm trying to do something. Okay. So we are here to talk about the seasonal routine, the change of the season we are experiencing, and it's on the way. So the kapha time of the year is mainly December to May. So kapha actually start, the winter time is kapha. As we all know, the quality of the winter is heavy, cold, dull, sluggish, and so the qualities of kapha, as you listen from Dr. Brannan's presentation. So we are now moving to springtime, which is from mid-February to mid-May. So in response to the season, these doshas changes. So as in the winter with all the Christmas and all the heavy food, and so all the accumulation of kapha happen. So naturally we put up some weight and that heaviness and dullness, and we want to snuggle in. We don't want to do too much exercise because of the accumulation of kapha happening in that season. And as the kapha is moving towards the spring, is the second response of the dosha will be perkopa, and perkopa is the natural aggravation. So because of the heat building up now in the spring, as the heat start coming up, this snowman, this kapha start melting. So this melting kapha wants to come out from the body through the nose, through the different channels, and that's when cold, cough, flu, hay fever, asthma, all of these problems are more dominant in the springtime because kapha is trying to come out of the body and balance itself. So that's where if we are aware of this change, we just change our diet and lifestyle a little bit and help the body to let this extra kapha get out. And the third is natural pacification. So with the change of the season, our doshas, it's not only kapha, vata, pitta, and kapha within their season, they go through three responses. So these are the responses, sanchya, prakopa, and prasara. So that's why the change in the diet and lifestyle help to assist these processes. And Ritucharya has a big significance, big importance in Ayurveda. So Ayurveda say the 15 days before the season change, you start changing your diet and lifestyle. So the change in the season is easy on the body. So if kapha is ignored, when it is accumulating and it is aggravating, especially if at that stage we are not changing our diet and lifestyle, then it's going to manifest into form of sinus or something else related to kapha. So springtime is the king of the seasons because a lot of growth happen in this season. So and kapha is the dosha, the element, earth element responsible for the growth. So also that's why the weight is easy to crop on in the body in the spring as well. And as the heat is rising in the environment, the digestive system goes down. So naturally, as Dr. Naheed was saying, anorexia is a problem related to kapha, the loss of interest in the food or nausea. These kinds of problems happen, and that happen as the heat is slowly rising in the environment, digestive system goes down. And in the spring and in the summer as well, digestive system is very weak. So we don't need to eat too much of food anyway. So these are some of the strategy here, how to balance it with the diet, with the lifestyle, and with the herbs. There are different treatments in Ayurveda as well. There are different modalities to deal with the imbalance, but I'm looking at these three different modalities of Ayurveda here. So in the diet, some of you who are old here and have done my cooking classes and have done our lectures, you know there are 6 tastes of food in the Ayurvedic nutrition. So Ayurveda say you avoid sweet, salt, and sour taste. Why? Because they're heavy taste, and kapha is heavy, and like increase like, so you don't want to increase the heavy element in your body. So you cut down on the rice and you cut down on the other heavy food in this season, and you increase pungent, bitter, and estrogen taste. Funny, it's interestingly, nature give us a lot of bitters in this time of the year. Like the naturally you will see in your garden, dandelions start growing naturally, which is bitter, and a lot of bitter sprouts and bitter greens are going to be in season around the spring. So we should include more bitter, more pungent like ginger and cinnamon, those kind of spices in our diet. So we should emphasize more on the pungent, bitter, and estrogen taste-rich foods. And dry food, not very kind of fat and healthy oils in the diet. Warm food should be warm. In the kapha season, food should not be cold. No salads yet. And the light food. So food should be light in nature, like millets, quinoa, those kind of grains, lentils, and all that. And old grains are better, even though this is the harvesting time of the year. But we should avoid the new rice and new wheat because they are very heavy. They still have a lot of moisture. So that's why we should prefer the old grains because they are more lighter than the new grains. And as much as grains, seeds, nuts, whatever you're eating, you roast them, make it lighter. And the seasonal fruits, seasonal bitters, all that I already said. And split peas are better choice of dal over the Mung dal around this time of the year. So chana dal, split pea, tur dal, because they're more astringent, so they are more preferable for the people who are eating dals and all. And roasted chickpea, roasted nuts, spices in the cooking. So pungent spices like ginger, as I said, black pepper, cumin, cinnamon, all those spices are better for the kapha people for cooking around this time of the year. And no yogurt because yogurt will be very heavy, but instead of yogurt, the wonderful drink around this time of year to enhance metabolism, to pick up the digestion, is spicy lassi. So lassi is you dilute the yogurt like 1 tablespoon of yogurt into a 1 glass of water with the spices like hingu, which is asafoetida, black salt, and trikatu. I know these terms are new for some of the people. These are the spices. You can ask in the questions later. And in the kapha time of the year, naturally skin problem also come on the surface. So chicken pox, measles, mumps, acne, some of the boils, that kind of skin issues are more common around this time of the year. So I would recommend this wonderful herb called neem. So either you mix the quarter or half a teaspoon of neem powder with water and make a little tablets and take one of that every morning. Or it's very bitter. If you find it difficult to take, just take it with honey. So take it only for 2 weeks, and it's a great prevention to all of the skin diseases in the kapha season. And also because kapha is a heavy element, so if you're struggling with the weight problem, asthma, mucus, so the fasting is very kind of beneficial, liquid day is beneficial, and the spring is a wonderful time to do the detox. But you get in touch with your Ayurveda practitioner before you start doing any of these strategies. And then in the lifestyle, Dr. Brennan said the kapha time of the day is 6 to 10 a.m. and 6 to 10 p.m. So you better get up early before the kapha kick in the environment and start moving. So more exercise in the spring. Your body naturally have a bit more energy in the springtime because of the heat picking up and the heavy element from the body start lifting. So for that, you better get out of the bed as soon as possible. We talked about Abhyanga, the oil massage in the autumn, about the time of the year. Kapha time of the year is more better for dry brushing, lymphatic drainage massages, or there are special gloves that you wear and doing those Gershin massage. Udavartana is you make a powder with oats and lentils, so it's kind of a dry powder that you rub on your body. So no day nap, no sleeping during the daytime for kapha people. Very bad for weight gain and all of that. And continuing doing your routine of tongue scraping. Neti is clearing your nasal passages with a special pot with this line water. And Nasea, we talk a lot about Nasea. So that is a special oil. You put a drop of oil into your ear, each nostril, to keep the infections, to keep the hay fever at bay. And for the yoga, there are a lot of chest opening yoga postures and pranayams. I cannot go in detail about which one, but most of your yogis here, so you would know. Otherwise, get in touch with if you have kapha problem, asthma, you start doing chest opening exercises. And colorful, kapha is a dull element, so you need to wear color in your house, and even for uplifting your senses, start using aroma oils. We have a wonderful Kapha Tea. So Kapha Tea is a lot of blend of the spices. So drinking 1 or 2 cups of Kapha Tea with honey is also very good for moving the mucus in the body and all the digestion. If you have skin problem, you can put a little pinch of this neem powder into the bath and shower with it. And burnt sage, actually Ayurveda recommend fumigation. So burning sage and these wonderful herbs in the house, because of the dry effect of the smoke, is helpful. And also the dry sauna and the dry heat is recommended to take in for the kapha people. So quickly on the herbs, all these terms might be new. All these herbs are available on the Ayurveda website. But again, I would say consult your Ayurveda practitioner before start taking any of these. So if you have dry cough, cold, flu, in general, Sitopladi is a combination of different herbs blended together. And it's a wonderful herb for the cough and sinus and a lot of other issues related to kapha. Pipali is a long pepper. Chyawanprash we talk a lot about, wonderful immunity jam, you can say. And Manjishta is another herb to open up the lymphatic channels, because for kapha people, lymphatic system is very sluggish. And then these 2 herbs to number here is for sinus and allergies. MP16 is the nasal oil. And Kapha Churna and the immunity spice mix is people who are new to spices and they don't know which spice to use, how much spice to use. These are the ready-made blend of the spices to use into your cooking. Okay, and so I just want to show this colorful slide because it's very fascinating how our festivals around this time of the year are so much around this change in the season. So today is Makar Sankranti. So that colorful picture there is the festival of India that's happening today. So they do it was some places celebrated it yesterday and half of it will be going today, and that's kind of northern solstice, the change in the season. So it's a celebration, and the people naturally make a bonfire so as the dry heat to the body, and they eat these little sweet balls. You say that's the jaggery and sesame seed, and jaggery and sesame seed is very drying for the kapha, especially the sesame. So people naturally eat that in the culture. And they fly the kites and a lot of colors and that kind of celebrations are going on. So that tells us how our costumes and cultures are already correlated to Ayurveda. And in the April, I think in the March or April, this festival of Holi is coming where people throw colors. And this is where people come out and have a social life, dance together. And I think that's very good for the mental, that the kapha people tend to get depressed. So the social life is very important. So these festivals are there to support that. And in Ireland, we're going to have the Easter, the growth, new life. And I know a little bit, but I think people traditionally do fasting around the Easter time, which is very much, again, correlated to Ayurveda, the fasting in the kapha time of the year. So this is the fascinating, our culture is here. If we tune in, there is so much knowledge already in the different cultures, which really is amazing. So, okay, thank you so much. I'll finish it here. So hope it's a bit more clear about kapha, and kapha is a very positive, very kind of a lovely element in the body. So thank you, back to Noel.
So Rajvinder, if you stop your share.
Yeah. Where is the thing? I lost it.
Down at security, I think.
Yeah, I think back.
Or maybe I can do it from here.
Yeah, maybe you can do it. I can't find it.
Oh, yeah, I was able to do it. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Okay, thanks very much, Dr. Rajvinder. That's very interesting. And actually, it's interesting what you said about kapha. Like, and sometimes people say, "Oh, kapha is not the great dosha," you know. But actually, kapha is a fantastic dosha. And me personally, I wish I had more kapha in me because I'm pitta vata, and I could definitely do with some more kapha in me because kapha grounds you. Kapha is very stabilizing, and it's also full of strength. So it gives you a lot of stability flexibility and strength. And actually, I notice a lot of very, very successful business people can be Pitta Kapha, because the Pitta gives them the drive, the ambition, the intellect, all of those things, and the Kapha gives them the stamina. Whereas I am Pitta Vata, so I have the drive and the ambition and all of that, but then I run out of steam after a certain amount of time. So that Kapha is a wonderful thing, and there's a lot of questions coming in about should everybody do these things. It's as usual with Ayurveda, it's not one size fits all. It's actual, it's your own individual nature. If you're a very Pitta person, this season is very nice because I love the coolness in the air and all of that. And it doesn't really, I've never had sinuses, I've never had hay fevers, I've never been overweight really, I've never had those, any of those what might be considered Kapha issues, because I'm a very, very Pitta person. I have an awful lot of Pitta in me. But people who are of a Kapha nature and people who do suffer from sinuses and do suffer from hay fever, then this information is more relevant to them, and they need to make more of those changes, particularly in relation to the detoxification, and drinking the ginger tea and drinking all those things to keep the Kapha in balance. Because as we say, as the heat comes off, the Kapha melts, and then it comes out as all these different allergies and things that are there. So I think that was a really great presentation on Vata Pitta Kapha. There's some questions coming in there. So I'll just unmute Dr. Naheed. And I think all the doctors are unmuted now. So
Naheed, because
okay, so there we are. So that was a video that we made some while back, actually, as you probably guessed, from some of the comments in it. So Dr. Brennan, I think you're unmuted. We're still in Kapha season. I mean, Kapha has been building up since December, so we don't start moving into Pitta until maybe around May, Don, is it?
Yeah, in May, you'll feel a change within you as well as without. And the sun is coming up into summer. That's Pitta season. But if you're really tuned in, you'll notice you've changed. You've different desires for food, different desires for your lifestyle. But we'll do a change of season talk maybe at that time.
Yeah, you can actually begin to feel. Oh, sorry. Dr. Rajvinder, is there some noise coming in there?
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, muted now. Yeah.
Okay. So we can you can actually see the season beginning to, well, I mean, the Kappa has been growing, but there's definitely a sort of a change in the air as well. And I think next week when the clock goes back in the evenings or even longer, it's going to be a bigger change. So we are beginning to move towards that heat and towards that Pitta. And then this is the time that people start getting hay fever and sinuses and all those type of things, because then all the buildup of Kappa that's inside them begins to melt, So Don, I can see you taking notes there. So you've probably been looking at
I'm trying to get ahead by answering all the questions that had already come in, but we never catch up now.
No, we'll just answer what we can,
Yeah. First question was Mung versus Red Lentils. They are different, actually, very slightly, actually, in their qualities, and both are good for Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. But the Mung is probably slightly questionable for Kapha, whereas the Mung, red lentil, will be slightly questionable for Vata. But generally, they're very similar in nature, but they are different, slightly different.
I think I answered that question by chat, but I think the red lentils definitely create more Vata. They're more air in them, and whereas Mung dal doesn't tend to create air at all, so.
Can blissful steroid be taken with 303? Yes, it can. Where are the doctors based? Raj and myself are in Dublin, Ireland, and Naheed would be in Cork, were she not in India at the moment, which she'll be back to us soon, we hope. Any advice for rosacea? Jean, it's more a Pitta problem, so it's everything about balancing Pitta. It's also probably a little bit of detoxing, clearing toxins that are coming through the skin. And it's the use of skin tonics, but turmeric and radiant skin would be good ones to start with. There was a question about breakfast, the best time. Well, the best time is, when you're hungry, basically. And kaphas, if you're a true kapha, you don't get hungry in the morning, so you shouldn't have a breakfast. What Noel was describing, lemon in warm water with a little honey, would be a breakfast for kapha. For pitta, fruit often makes a great breakfast, stewed fruit. For a kapha, for Vata, a nice porridge would be a lovely breakfast. So those are examples of breakfasts. And many, are kids generally more Kapha? And many, it's a Kapha phase of life because Kapha is to do with growth. They're growing. So yes, they tend to Kapha problems like tonsils, growths. This is the Kapha part of the body and head and neck. So growths that like tonsils or and adenoids, they get allergies, Kapha problems. Asthma is more a Kapha problem in the Kapha phase of life, but they grow out of it. So it's just examples, but that's a Kapha phase of life. Sarah asks about age-related hearing loss. Is it reversible? Depends how far it's gone, but it's not so much a Kapha problem, it's a Vata problem. Because that is to do with the sense of hearing and touch. Lorraine, is there a specific function for sleep? Well, from yoga, there's a concept of airflow through the nostrils, and it's been shown to be true. One nostril dominates for 90 minutes, it switches over and the other nostril dominates. But what's really interesting is when the right nostril dominates, you see more synchrony in the brain waves on the other side of the brain and the left side of the brain. So to get off to sleep, it's often helpful to sleep on your left side because the left side will mean that the air passing through the left nostril starts to predominate. And when that happens, the right hemisphere becomes more lively, and that's the more restful, artistic, creative. So it can help to get to sleep. What is the reason for vitamin B12 deficiency? It's our insane sanitization. Because naturally we would have been exposed to bacteria, and bacteria create vitamin B12, but we wash everything so thoroughly now, we don't get bacteria, and in our vegetables, therefore, we don't get vitamin B12, and therefore vegetarians have to be careful. Meat is the flesh of animals which are not so careful, and they eat bacteria in their foods and in their water they drink, and so they have loads of vitamin B12. But if you're a vegan particularly, just monitor your vitamin B12. Anne-Marie, 21 years old son with acne, what to do? Again, he's 21, or is it 27? There seems to be discussion about that. It's probably more pitta problem, probably more pitta. It's an inflammation in the skin is a site of pitta, and everything that balances pitta may be helpful.
Don?
Obviously, that's Salah. Well, but Salah, you want to be really, really good in this life, to have really good karma, to get really good parents again next time round. So just be a good girl. What about Prakriti, screen? Sonia has an interesting question based on our discussion about Prakriti and Prakriti. Should we not screen for both? Well, so, you know, one thing that I was thought to say is that when you do a questionnaire about your Vata, Pitta, Kapha, often the answer that you get from the questionnaire is what you need to balance. Because if you're Prakriti, your imbalance is predominating, it will come up on the questionnaire and then you'll be more orientated to balance that. So, but ultimately, it's a really good Vaija who can read the pulse to tell what's the innate nature behind all the imbalances. But it doesn't matter because no matter, the Vajas will still operate to create balance. And as time passes, you become more yourself and your Prakriti starts to shine through more and more. And what about a premature birth? Margaret Kelly asks, well, it's the karma of the child and the parents to have to go through all of that. And there's something in it that we learn from. In the same way, I remember one Jyotishi, which is another science in the Vedic context, and he was talking about a child who was Down syndrome. Why should that happen? And he said that in the previous life, the child, this person, had been so intelligent, but so overbalanced with intelligence that they were totally intellectual in their last life. And so this life, they needed to cultivate the heart. So they came back as a Down syndrome. And of course, the Down syndromes are all heart. So it was a lovely rebalancing for that soul. And Colette asked Kiffer, similar to Guy, and that was very nicely answered on the chat line. Mosquito bite ruins Karen's.
Don, we'll give the other doctors a chance. We have the heat on here from India and Rajvinder on.
So I got the whole lot, Noel.
Yeah. Listen, let's get
us up to 8:30. So,
sorry, what did you say?
That brings us up almost to 8:30 now.
All right, okay.
I hand over. I rest my case.
Very good. You need to take a break there, you know. Okay, Naheed and Rajvinder, do you want to come in there on some questions?
Go ahead, Naheed.
Yeah, you take the question. I'm just typing an answer.
Okay. Karen's, Dr. Brian was at the mosquito question. Some people are, like, I think, Karen, you are very Kapha as well. So Kapha skin is full of ojas, as Kapha people are, and they have a very sweet smell naturally. I'm not offending others, but Kapha naturally have very smell in their body, which is sweet because of ojas and soma. So maybe that's why you feel you're more prone to mosquitoes. And MA630 is a herb we have if you're going sometime holidays. So you bring that herb with you, and you can, and there are some of the mosquito repellents oils and things that you can get that can help you. So Nancy's saying, I mentioned about taking neem powder with water for skin problem. Is there a kind of neem powder? Natural organic neem powder, we sell it on the website. And it's nice to take in this around this time of the year. I remember when we were a kid in India, we have neem trees. Our parents used to crush the neem and make a paste and add water, and used to give us that water, like a shot of neem water every morning in the springtime. So you can get the neem leaf or neem powder from our website. The powder is available from the website. Naheed, you come in.
Yeah. So there's a question about is anxiety and depression in a teenager due to imbalance in kapha. So anxiousness and anxiety is more related to vata, and depression is related to kapha. But like as we were discussing about, Dr. Brennan was discussing about vitamin B12. So the deficiency of vitamin B12 can also lead to make you feel depressed and anxious. So just get her vitamin B12 check and just see how she's eating, or he or she may be eating. And maybe you can just focus balancing on his vata and kapha, because the teenagers have their busy life, they have their own world. So maybe you can just sit with her and just counsel with her, and that can help her out.
And Bhavna was saying, Dr. Vani, you take question as well. Just take the.
Lovely. Mary, is it possible for one to be living life by the wrong dosha? Well, Mary, the thing there is we should live our lives according to our nature. It's when we are in tune with our nature, living appropriately for our nature, we keep balanced and we increase the value of our own health. And when we are going against our grain and living more governed by our doshas or imbalances, that we create more imbalance and more disease. And so I hope that helps. And Chavan Prash, what is it? It's I think that was answered which was great. And Jaskar, what are the different oils recommended for nausea, depending on dosha? Well, then the nasal oil that Noel has available is generally good for all doshas, though for some who are very pitta, it might be a little, your nose might be a bit sensitive. But that really is one to really try, I think.
If you don't have any sinus problem, if you were thinking, use normal sesame oil, almond oil, ghee. So you can use other oil if you don't have. And somebody mentioned that nasal oil could be used for tinnitus. Yes, you can use that by using into your nose, that help your ear. And it could be actually used as ear drops. You can dilute it with other base oil. So
yeah, like in tinnitus is a vata condition. So the more oil, because oil has the quality opposite to the vata, so that will help you, to combat your tinnitus. And maybe you can just add, as Dr. Rajvinder said, the oil inside your ears, or maybe with a dropper, you can just put 2 or 3 drops. And the oil massage, especially on this part, followed by any compression, like a hot compression or something like that, but it should not be too hot. Just a little bit of mild hot compression after the oil massage can help you with the tinnitus.
And Bhavna was saying about the gunas, tamsa, rajasa, and sattva. Yeah, they are actually related to doshas, Bhavna. So sattva is very much related to pitta, because pitta is related to the brain and mind and intelligence and pure consciousness and all the sharp quality of the brain. And rajasa is too much activity in the brain. So that could be vata, restlessness could be there because of too much vata, too much thinking, overthinking, overwhelming. So rajasic dosha is guna is related to vata, and tamsa is dullness, hard to make a decision, laziness is there, mind feel very dull and kind of procrastinating nature and all. That's all related to kapha. So yeah, there is a relation between gunas and doshas. Yeah. Avni is saying our body also acclimatized to the country we live in. Some extent it does, yes. Because like we come from Asian people have very kind of strong skin. They can tolerate the strong sun. So when they come to country like Ireland, they feel more colder. So I think Western people cannot tolerate too much of heat as well. So yeah, our body does acclimatize. The place we are born more to than we live. But yeah, we are living in Ireland now. We kind of acclimatize a bit to the cold weather as well. So yeah, it does change. So you kind of your body adjusts to that.
But
And that
people with darker skin, then if they move like to somewhere like Ireland, I mean, they could be very prone to having a vitamin D deficiency, couldn't they? Really, because their skin naturally doesn't. It's used to way more sunlight, you know. So with less sunlight, then they could end up with a situation where they're vitamin D deficient. So they may need to supplement to get that. Then, you know. So
yeah, exactly.
that's
So that's
one
where
example. There's probably lots of examples of things, you know.
yeah, that we eat local vegetable and local, so our gut flora kind of acclimatize a bit according to that. And yeah, so but it's good to have your own native origin vegetables and things like that. So you have a variety of gut flora in your system. So yeah, there are a lot of strategy around it. So I'll be quiet now for others.
So,
what is the Ayurvedic perspective of hemp seed oil, Dr. Brennan? Do we know?
what is which?
What is the Ayurvedic perspective of hemp seed oil?
Well, definitely we know that hemp seed is a good source of omega-6 and omega-3. It's a nice proportion. So from that point of view, it's a nice oil. It's somewhat heating and a little bit hard to digest. So
it's cooling. It's very good for pitta skin conditions. Somebody was asking about rosacea. So when people put a bit of hemp, it actually can be the redness. So it's cooling, but we don't cook with it. But yeah, it is good kind of like olive oil. It has some good qualities. So you can use it in your salads and after cooking if you want to use it for medicinal purpose. So it will be a good oil for pitta.
lovely.
And there's a question about teeth grinding. Is it a kapha problem? No, it's a vata problem. But if a child or a teenager is grinding their teeth, then there can be problems with their worms in the, like the white color worms in the tummy. What do you say, Dr. Rajvinder, in Ireland, like commonly? Like here we say worms, kind of like the white tiny one.
Oh, the teeth grindings, yeah. The little bit of parasites and tiny bit of worms are natural to have in our body. So sometimes it's a bit over, like H. pylori is very common and SIBO is very common problem going around. So if you have any type of that kind of vata pitta disturbance going on, you might be grinding your teeth. And sometimes it is stress related. You're doing too much in the day, as Dr. Nahid said, too much of vata. Then that could be the other issue. So it depends on what's going on. So in that situation, maybe if you're eating salads and cold food, switch it to a bit of normal cooked food and use wormwood oil on your tummy. Just rub around the belly button and see if that helps.
Yeah. And there's a question about backache. Is it a kapha problem? So back is the region, and our pelvis region. That's the region of the major seat of vata. Vata remains mostly in that part. Backache is definitely a vata condition, not a kapha problem. You can do an oil massage that can help you to relieve your backache.
Yeah, only if you're kapha and you have a back issue, maybe the pressure on the joints, if you have weight problem going on, or if there's a dryness, because kapha normally have very good moisture in the body, but if they're not eating according to their dosha, then they could tend to have dryness and too much of sitting. So that could be driving. So back problems could be a lot of reasons. The very lovely question from Sharon. Maybe Dr. Brennan would like to answer. She's asking opinion on the COVID vaccine. If the healthy person do they need? And she's also asking, growing vegetable in a polytunnel, is the plastic bad?
It's an interesting one about the polytunnel. I often thought about that because plastics aren't great really, and I'm sure it does have some influence on the life, and yet you can grow so many things.
But the sun is not that strong here anyway. If you're
Yeah, and it's the heat in the tunnel as well. I don't know that there's any scientific research done on that to say that. My gut feeling would be it's probably not the best, but probably not too bad. What would you think, Dr. Brennan, growing vegetables in polytunnels, as opposed to maybe you could have glass houses, but glass is obviously going to be a lot more expensive. It's a tricky one, isn't it? An interesting one.
It is an interesting one. I'd look at all the other factors involved. You know, that it's organic, it's produced by somebody who loves to be doing their job. It all influences the food. In consideration of the total distortions of food that people are currently eating, I'd say it's fairly minor that it's
minor. Yeah. I know in Maharishi University in Iowa they do grow food in polytunnels. You know, so and those guys would be really looking at the best of the best. So I think there, your good answer, Dr. Brennan. The you know, the people growing it, what way are they growing it? You know, I know McNally Family Farm that I buy all my stuff from. They definitely use polytunnels. You know, so yeah, I think it's probably has a very little negative influence on it. You know. The other one about taking the COVID vaccine, very, very tricky. That's up to everybody to make their own decision on that. And yeah.
It's difficulty because, you know, there is no such thing as informed consent. Normally, when you go for a medical procedure, it will be legal requirement that you be given informed consent. And the reality is there cannot be informed consent because these vaccines are totally new technology, whichever ones you're using. And therefore the research has not been done. It couldn't have been in the time. So we don't ultimately know the long-term consequences of these, but we're in a difficult situation where we have to balance risk. And each one has to decide for themselves what their own choice must be. Because if you're fearful of coronavirus and the quality of your life is totally disturbed and your well-being by the fear of coronavirus, you take a risk taking the vaccine, but it's a risk worth your while taking. Whereas if you're more afraid of the consequences, which are unknowable in relation to the vaccines, and you don't give much of a hoot because you're incredibly healthy and anticipate that you wouldn't get severely ill with coronavirus, then that's another choice. But each one must make the choice that's comfortable for them using the best information they can get. And that's the difficulty we're facing with the vaccines. In Ayurveda, you see, recognize we have these wonderful barriers of you know, around our nose and our mouth are huge lymph glands, tonsils, adenoids, around the gut, 80% of our immune system, in the skin, immune cells, in our lungs, immune cells. So the immune system is like a filter which only lets through what is, you know, appropriate according to our own body's intelligence. But when we inject, we've bypassed our own, you know, defenses, if you like. And so that's not in Ayurveda. What they did traditionally in vaccines is now understood. Initially arose from observing in India how they prevent smallpox. They used to use material from a cow and they used to put it on the skin and scrape the skin, and that was a vaccine. But it was coming in through a natural boundary of skin, and that was noted in the 1700s in India and started to be replicated in England to the end of the 17th century. And from that came smallpox vaccine, which was the first development of vaccines in the West. It's very interesting, came out of a strategy used in India.
Well, I think the word vaccine comes from baka, cow, anyway. I think the root word is cow.
That's probably why. Yeah.
As far as I know, so I could be wrong in that, but no, I think I'm correct in that actually, Gotcha, cow, but yeah, listen, it's a very tricky one. Unfortunately, I feel that what's happening now is the death of debate. There's only one side being portrayed. There's no, can you even get proper information on the whole thing? That's my fear of the whole thing, is that really we've been given one line and there's nobody allowed to present any, not in the mainstream media anyway, to present any other opinion or anything else. So, and even anybody in the medical profession that speaks out against it finds their careers shortened very, very quickly. And I think that's very bad. I just don't like that at all, but at the end of the day, you want to take the vaccine, take the vaccine, but I don't think people should be forced to take it either. But unfortunately, people are saying here, if you want to travel, you may end up having to take it. And that's a possibility. I actually don't think it'll happen, but it is a possibility that will happen, However, it's an incredibly sensitive topic, so I think we've probably said enough on it,
Yeah, it is. And there's also that influence of you do go to your medical advisor who's working on your behalf and compassionately trying to take care of you, and you can always discuss your issues with them as well. Now, when in relation to some other questions that came up, and I'll go through a few more while I get the chance. And
no, we're nearly gone anyway, Don. So just take one more, please. We're 9 o'clock. So
the one I would pick was the sorest one of all. One poor person had colitis and had colectomy, the colon removed, and is left with inflammation in the rectum after all her traumas, God, or his traumas, whoever it was. And so what I would suggest there is that you have a consultation with either Dr. Raj or Dr. Naheed or myself or an Ayurvedic doctor, because colitis, I've seen quite a few people helped by the Ayurvedic perspective.
Okay, so I think we've come to the end. So this is our Kapha lesson. Our next lesson, we're looking at the seasonal routines. We've done Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So we should have a good understanding of Vata, Pitta, Kapha at this stage. And maybe you're beginning to have an understanding of your own nature, or more importantly, maybe your own imbalances. And the next lesson on next Tuesday, we're going to be talking about the seasonal routines. And, sorry that we don't get to answer every question, but we never promised we'd answer every question. It's not physically possible to do that, but we just get to whatever ones that we actually can get to, So listen, that's great. We're on again. If you want to come along to our yoga class on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, you can, I sent a link where you can register for that. You have to register for it, otherwise you won't get the Zoom link. And once you're registered for it, you'll get the Zoom link on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. That Zoom link will go out after 10:30 on Saturday morning. So don't email me looking for the link before that. It'll go out after 10:30 on Saturday morning. Dr. Naheed, thanks a million. You're beginning to look a little tired there, so it must be 2:30 in the morning or something. So thanks a million for coming on. And Dr. Rajvinder, thank you for coming on as well. And Dr. Brennan as well. So this is a fantastic course. Thank you for Anne-Marie Byrne. I think that's a good one to leave it on. So thanks very much for that, Anne-Marie. And we hope other people share the same opinion. So namaste, everybody. Have a great weekend. And Jane Foley's doing namaste there as well. So thanks very much. And we'll see everybody next Tuesday if we don't see you sooner. Women's Health webinar for any women interested in the specific aspect of Ayurveda and women's health. A replay of our webinar. I did notice some people were putting in the chat, oh, this isn't that particular day when Dr. Rajvinder was talking about the festivals. That was a recording, so people should realize that this is live now, even though this could be a recording, I suppose, if I had recorded it, but it's actually live now on Thursday night, the 18th of March. But the video we played earlier on was a recording of a video we made in I think it was January.
That was just to tell how the festivals or customs are around the tough time of the year.
Related to the thing, yeah. People were putting into the chat box, it's not that date, that was before, but that's because it's a recording. Okay, everybody, thanks a million. Thanks for it. Dr. Brennan, did you want to say?
Good night. Bye-bye.
Meet tight.
Yep, thank you. Take care, everybody. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.